All right, welcome to the latest episode of Digless, a podcast by the Quarry. Today, I'm delighted to welcome into the studio Ruth, who's here to talk not only about her book, Poole of Light, we'll just quickly show that to the camera as well, but your experience with publishing and the Guernsey Literary Festival, which has got a really exciting initiative underway for the first time this time round, with a short story anthology. I think let's open up with how did you get into writing?
Oh gosh, how long have you got, Nick? Well, I think all of us, grew up writing, doing all sorts of things with writing. I worked in financial services for 20 years in various countries across Asia. There was always an element of writing in what I did. But of course, creative writing is a very different kettle of fish. And I think I'd always had a sort of more techie, scientific kind of mind. And it wasn't probably until I was sort of in my mid-30s that I went on a leadership course, and they threw away all the textbooks, and it was all about being creative and thinking in a much more creative way. And I thought, I really love this. And so I just experimented a bit with some creative writing, and then I had this idea to write a book. And so eventually, when I was fortunate to spend more time writing, I took some courses and joined some writing groups, and here we are now.
Here we are indeed. And the idea for Poole of Light, where did that spark from?
Well, that actually sparked from my father was a projectionist in Leeds as a teenager. And so he told me a few stories about his experience, and I did a little bit of research about it, and soon came to discover that actually during its peak, Leeds had 70 cinemas in the 1930s, and there would be movie premieres. Actors would come up to London, to Leeds, to be at these premieres. So it was really quite a thing. It was before my father's time. He was a projectionist in the 50s in Leeds, but still, that just gave me the sort of spark, if you like, to find out more about it, read up about Oscar Deutsch, who's famous for his Odeon cinemas all over the country. And yeah, that's how it all started.
And in terms of writing this book or writing any book, what was the main challenge?
Where to begin? I think the hardest thing, this is actually a trilogy, and I've written the second book already, and I must say I found it much easier, because when I started writing my first book, I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I think that, and a combination of fear, imposter syndrome, where's it all going to end up? Should this chapter go here and that one there? Or do I move it all about? So my husband will tell you that at one stage I had index cards all over the dining table trying to work out what the sequence of the chapters should be. As it turns out, they now there's two sort of timelines that run in parallel during the beginning of the book. But all those kind of things you're doing for the first time, and you just don't know if you're doing them right or not.
And did you get any feedback along the way as well to help you?
Yes, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about the writing community. You can join writers groups, you can join critique groups, you can go on courses and submit some of your feedback submit some of your work along the way and get feedback. And then, of course, as you go towards thinking about publishing your book, go and see an editor, go and see someone who will proofread it for you, get beta readers on board, and then get your final advanced review readers on board as well. So there's lots of steps along the way where you can get feedback about your book.
It almost sounds intimidating to me. If I was somebody just starting out for the first time, so what would your advice be? Where should you start?
Just start small. Write a short story. I started off writing short stories, and they're brilliant, aren't they? Because within, a day or a week or a month, you can actually have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's satisfying, and it's not too big a mountain to climb. It's just a small hill.
Smaller, kind of like the sound of that. I think anybody looking at a blank page when they start out, though, it is, and it is intimidating. But also, I'm guessing with writing, you're putting yourself out there emotionally as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite, yeah, you kind of have to bear yourself a bit. And yeah, I'm a bit of an introvert myself, so I did find it quite difficult. I don't know if that's why I decided to give myself a pen name, which I can hide behind. Maybe that's the reason. Apart from the fact that Ruth Thomason, the author, is already spoken for. There's another Ruth Thomason out there in the world who writes. So no, so I came up with a different name. But yeah, it's a bit scary putting yourself out there.
And I guess we should talk a bit about the plot of the book as well. I know you want to give everything away, but just give us a little taster.
I mean, it's basically, if I summed it up, a rags to riches, coming of age story about a young boy, orphan, who gets into the movies business, cinema industry during the 1920s and 30s. And it's about him trying to find himself and redemption. And he's quite a flawed character. He's called Jem Poole, hence Pool of Light. He is quite a flawed character, but I think he's kind of lovable in a way as well. You want to root for him.
In terms of like seeing this now physically out there in the shops, it's available on Amazon as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
People get it in various formats. Like, how does that feel?
It's a bit surreal. It does feel like, is that did I write that? So yeah, no, it's a bit of a weird feeling, but I'm very proud of it. It's a bit like having a baby, but it's out there in the world now, and it's up to other people to interpret it how they want to. And I just hope they enjoy it enough to, put it down and think, yeah, no, that was worth reading.
And I guess along the way you've got used to having critique and feedback, and so whatever comes, I suppose.
It does. I mean, you've just got to welcome critique with open arms. The fact that someone's bothered to read and give you feedback, that's huge. And I'm always grateful for someone doing that. And then you just sort of sit down and try and take it on board as constructively as you can. You're not everybody is going to like your book, but if someone has got something constructive to say, I'm definitely going to listen and see if I can take it on board.
And I guess even if people are reacting, that means they're paying attention. That's positive, isn't it? So.
Yes, emotions are good. If people react with emotions, I like that. Yeah, that's a good sign.
And with putting another hat on now, so to speak, you're obviously involved in the Guernsey Literary Festival. Yes. This really exciting initiative for the first time. You can just tell us a bit more about the short story opportunities that are out there.
Yes. So actually, the short story competition, I came up with the idea. Well, actually, I stole the idea from the Hong Kong Writers Circle, because when I lived in Hong Kong, I was a member of this writing group. And every year they produce an anthology, and they've just produced their 20th year of short stories. And then every year they do make it available at the Hong Kong Literary Festival. And so as I was getting more involved with the Guernsey Literary Festival and with local writing groups, I thought, wouldn't it be a great idea if Guernsey voices could be heard, and we could put those stories together in an anthology and launch it at the festival. And so that's what we're doing. And I'm so grateful to everyone at the Guernsey Literary Festival who's making this happen.
And how's this process happening? And what's like if I'm someone that's interested in this opportunity, well, how do I go about it?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of information on the website, guernseyanthology.gg. We've also got a dedicated Facebook page for the Guernsey Anthology. So that's really there for any writers who want to share ideas or discuss or ask questions about it as well. And on there, you basically, in terms of the actual competition itself, we're looking for short stories up to 2,500 words. It can be anything under the theme of time and tide. So the ebb and flow of people's lives. It could be speculative fiction. It could be romance. It could be thriller. It could be historical, contemporary, memoir, creative nonfiction, any of the above, basically.
And since launching it, what kind of reaction have you had and feedback, and how?
I've just been blown away. So far, we've had 71 people register interest. The deadline isn't until the 30th of November. So I'm really encouraged by that. And I know there's lots of other writers out there who haven't registered interest but are planning to submit a short story. So I think it's going to be a fantastic competition with some really good quality pieces. And I'm just looking for the diversity, because I think anyone who's got a connection with the Bailiwick can basically submit a story. And one of the other reasons I wanted to launch this was because everyone you meet in Guernsey has got a story to tell. A lot of people have left the island, come back again. And isn't it interesting, why did you leave? Why did you come back? All these stories, everyone's got a story in them. And I think it'd be lovely if we can learn more about them.
In terms of the publication of the anthology book, how's that going to happen? And how do you decide who's going to be in it?
Very good question. So we have a filter judge, which is Ben Hinshaw. So he's going to reduce however many entries there are down to a certain number. This will all be anonymous. So Ben won't know who's written what story. So it's just fair. And then we're very, very lucky to have Ross Raisin, who was last year's National Short Story Competition award winner in the UK, and he's now a judge as well. He's also the author of 4 novels. He also teaches creative writing at Leeds University. So we're very lucky to have him as a judge, and he will be filtering down to, we think, probably about the final 20. But we'll see. We'll see what stories come out and how many we can get into the anthology.
Where will we see the anthology?
So the anthology is going to come out at the festival. We'll launch it at next year's festival, so it'll be April, May 2026. Ross is going to come over. So we'll have an event around the anthology and we'll invite all the finalists. Their work will get published. And so for some people, this will be the first time they've been published, which is very exciting, I hope. Ross Raisin is going to be also giving a short story creative writing workshop as well. So we're very excited to have both Ross and Ben on board as judges.
And it sounds like it's quite a supportive environment if you're going into it for the first time.
Yes, absolutely. So what we're doing during October and November is setting up some critique groups. So again, if someone who's interested wants to have a critique group who can look at their story and you share each other's stories and give feedback, then they can enter their details onto the website, and we'll coordinate and put little groups together so they can do that. And I know for some people that sounds daunting, but it's brilliant because everyone's in the same boat, right? The reason you're in a critique group is that you want feedback, and maybe we should call them something else and not critique groups. But anyway, it's a really good process to go through, and I would really recommend it.
It sounds in a bit of contrast to what I was imagining in my head of people sitting alone at a desk or a computer or a typewriter. And
I mean, there's lots of times where writers have to sit, you know this, Nick, alone at their desks writing. But I think that's the fun thing about critique groups. And the other wonderful thing is you might always write historical fiction, but in a critique group, you get to see someone writing speculative or a romance. And I think the other thing about improving your writing is to just experience all the different genres.
And this is obviously a brilliant platform for people to get published. And you've gone through an experience yourself with getting Poole of Light out there. How has that been, and how do you go about it?
Oh gosh, it's it's a good question. So I chose to go down the indie publishing route. Obviously, a lot of people are still looking to get traditionally published. Although I find these days a lot of authors do a hybrid where they have some books that are traditional and some books that are indie published, or somewhere in between, because there are various platforms you can use to sort of have a hybrid within a hybrid, if that makes sense. I mean, the wonderful thing about publishing today is that there are all sorts of options that you can follow. The not so wonderful thing about publishing today is there are also sorts of options that can be completely confusing and mind-blowing, and you have to sift your way through and work out what's going to be best for you. So before between financial services and before writing, I was the co-founder of an internet startup company. And so I was kind of used to doing sort of marketing and promoting on a certain scale. So in that respect, there was a natural step for me to be able to do that anyway. It also occurred to me that the author friends that I do know, who do have a traditional publisher, end up having to do their own marketing anyway. So I just thought, I want to get my story out there. I can promote it myself. Let's see how it goes. And this is where we are now. So it's early days.
So, I mean, I guess you're learning all the time, but you have the freedom as well if you're not tied to a publisher.
Yeah, I get to choose my own title and my own book cover. Yeah, so that's nice. But I mean, the publishers are amazing, and they've got amazing force behind them to get your book out there. For me, I just decided to get the book out there first.
And so, number 2, you were saying, was it all the second in the trilogy has been finished?
It's drafted.
Drafted, okay.
It'll come out next year. It's called Pool of Honor. And it basically follows the next generation of the Poole family, the Poole legacy.
And so is number 3 just on the drawing board then?
It's outlined in chapters, but that's about as far as it is at the moment, yeah.
And when do you turn your attention to that? This is...
I try and write between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. I mean, everyone's got a different routine, but I find mornings are best for me. So that's how I try and focus it. But it sounds easy, doesn't it? But other things get in the way.
Life, yes.
Yeah.
So many distractions. And I guess just to sum things up for somebody having watched this, listened to this, they're interested in writing. What do you think their next step should be? 3 key takeaways, maybe.
If you're interested in writing and you haven't written anything before, I would certainly, in Guernsey, the library puts on some amazing writing courses. Ben Hinshaw does a fantastic job there. Sign up to one of those. The library, again, has some brilliant creative writing books. So, delve into those. Again, the library has got some amazing spaces. So go there, sit down with a pen and paper. If it's too noisy at home or there's too many distractions or you can't do it at work, just go to the library, go to the top floor to sit down with a pen and paper and write. That's 3 already, isn't it?
No,
Shall I keep going?
Keep going.
But just, I think, start with something you know. Or there's lots of, you can Google writing prompts and pick a writing prompt that comes up. And then just let yourself wander and have some fun. Enjoy it.
Brilliant advice. Hopefully some people will take that on board, and we'll see a whole new fresh crop of writers out there as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you for tuning into this podcast. If you've got all this way, I'm really hoping that you've enjoyed our work. There's a few things you can do, though, to support us. Follow, like, subscribe, share, whatever you can do to help spread the word of The Quarry. The other thing you can do is head on over to our website, where you can become a member and really support independent local news.